Good afternoon, y'all. It is Wednesday, March the 1st. It's Ash Wednesday. For those of you who celebrate or recognize Lent, I will tell you that my husband gave up sugar for Lent, which he always does, and which I never do and never will do either, I might add. But I have given up Facebook and Instagram for Lent, so you will not see me there for the next 40 days. I'm telling y'all that because that way I'm kind of holding my feet to the fire. I won't sneak over there and look at anything, or at least I hope I won't. I won't do that. Okay, y'all, I have stories to tell. You know I always do. Um, last on my last video, um, well, let me back up and say this. Um, when I first started doing videos for flosstube, I remember like the second one maybe I got a thumbs down on it, and um, somebody we talked about that. It was no big deal, and since then I've gotten a couple more. But somebody told me, maybe it was McKenna, I don't remember now, but somebody said, "Oh well, if you've gotten a thumbs down, you've made it big time in flosstube. You have to get a thumbs down to kind of be a big deal, I guess, in flosstube." So I've gotten 3 or 4. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing good here with these thumbs down. But y'all, more than that, I'm totally famous. I have become a flosstube star. Last time we talked, I told you my sister had been sick, and I went to see her. Jefferson City, Missouri is where she lives, 400 miles from my driveway to hers. She had been in the house for so long that our first morning there, she wanted to go to Joann's. They were having a sale, and she wanted scissors. She needed some new scissors. So I took her, I drove her, I dropped her off at the door, and then went and parked the car so she wouldn't have to walk far. And we got our cart for her to hold on to, and we went and looked at the floss, and we looked at the scissors, and we came around a corner, and there was this lady standing there looking at sewing machines. And she looked up and she said, "Do y'all know anything about these sewing machines?" And I talked to her about them a little bit. They were singers, and I don't know a lot about singers. I haven't had one since about the 70s, I think, when they switched from metal parts to plastic parts. My husband's grandmother would not allow me to have a singer after that, and now everything's got plastic parts. She would be rolling over in her grave if she knew that. But anyway, she looked at me as I was telling her about the sewing machines, and she said, "Are you on flosstube?" Oh my goodness, y'all. I looked at my sister, and she looked at me, and we died laughing. Hi, Chris. Chris from Jefferson City, Missouri, was looking at sewing machines and recognized me from my flosstube videos. It was the most fun thing ever in the whole wide world. And I got her phone number, except Chris, I'm sorry. I think that I've messed something up and I can't find it. But you've got mine, so I'll post next time. I'll tell you on YouTube when I'm going back up to my sister's, and we're going to try to get together and stitch one day. Is that not fun? I think that's the most fun. Anyway, rock star, y'all. That's me. Well, not really, but whatever. Um, Busy day today. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I usually do my filming in the mornings because of the light. But well, I do it about 11. My husband goes to lunch on Wednesdays with a group from church. I may have told y'all about this group. It's a bunch of old men that go to lunch once a week, and they call themselves the Romeos. Retired old men eat out. So I usually do it then, and he decided not to go today. So I waited until he left just a few minutes ago. He also drives the church van and picks up the children at school on Wednesday afternoons and takes them back up to the church for their kids' midweek activities. So that kind of set the tone for my day, except it started earlier. I have sleep apnea, and my CPAP machine went completely and totally berserk at 1 o'clock this morning. It leaked, it whistled, I don't know, it did crazy things. I had to take it in today and get it worked on. Normally, I get up about 6:15 or so, and I get my tea or whatever I'm drinking, and I do my devotions in the morning. That kind of sets the tone for my day. And I have a text ministry, that's what I call it, for lack of a better term. I send a text every morning, Monday through Friday, to my children and friends and whoever asks. Whoever wants on the list, I just put them on the list. And it's either a Bible verse or a quote from a book I'm reading, or maybe I preach a little bit. But it's short. I promise it's real short. So I got up and I got that done, and I went in and made bread. I love making sourdough bread, so I got that started and unloaded the dishwasher and all that stuff. And while I was doing all that, I got to thinking about McKenna. I mentioned her earlier. I watched her video last night, and she had just gotten out of the shower and put on her makeup, and she just looked so pretty. I don't think I've had makeup on really for 6 months. I just kind of gave that up when I turned 70. But I thought, well, maybe I'll just put a little makeup on today. So, y'all, this is me in makeup. Well, sort of. I have on lipstick, which I normally do. But I even put on a little bit of eyeshadow today. Can you see that? Yeah, well, I can't because without my glasses, I can't see it. With my glasses, I can't. They're covered up. Crazy. Getting older, that's not good. So I was putting on my makeup and I watched Farm Girl. If y'all don't watch her, she's absolutely wonderful. You need to see her flosstube channel. She has a new dog and he is precious, and she does some beautiful cross stitch things and some beautiful knit things. I love watching her. So okay, that's all my stories. I didn't really have a lot. What am I working on? I am working on this one. Oops, glare. Let's see if we move over here. That's better. I told y'all, last week I showed you 2 of these little pillows that I had made previously, and I didn't like the way they turned out, so I refinished them in a different way, and I really liked it when I did that. This is Little House Needleworks, and it's part of the Sheep's Virtues. And I had a 3rd one already stitched, which I have also redone, and I'll show that to you in a minute. So this is my 4th one. This is Hope. Just started it yesterday, and this is all I've gotten done on it. Just started on the border. Decided I would do that first. But I do have finishes. In fact, I have several finishes, y'all. Because I worked on a couple of my bigger projects. Hands, which is the Vervaco kit. I worked on that for a while. And I worked on Cornwall Cottage Sampler, but if you remember, there was a whole section of that I had to take out because it was over 1 stitch too far and it was throwing everything off. And so I had to take it out and start over. So I've gotten that part redone. But that's really all I did on big ones. I just needed, in my heart, I needed to see a finish. And so that's what I did. I worked on those little things that I could pick up and find. This is, I don't know the name of this. It's, I call it Reindeer. And it's a free pattern by Luli. I think that's the name. The dark that you see around there is some, I fused a piece of dark fabric on the back of that. I'm going to trim it down before I make this into an ornament or a little pillow. Because this, as you can see, this fabric is really quite thin. It is a 28 count even weave, I think. No, it's not an even weave. It's a linen, but I don't know what linen. I bought it up at Branson at Cecilia's Samplers, and I got the color name was Coffee Bean, but I didn't write down what kind of fabric it was, so I don't really know that to tell you. But I absolutely loved this. I could not put it down. Usually I hate stitching on white, but for some reason I really, really liked this. I did do a little experimenting when I was stitching this white. I stitched a couple of rows using beeswax on my thread, and a couple of rows with nothing on my thread, and a couple of rows with thread heaven on my thread. I really thought before I did that I was going to like beeswax better. That's what I've been using for a long time. But I kept hearing about thread heaven. But honestly, I think I like the thread heaven better. I don't know. Has anybody used that for like a really long time? And I'm wondering how it wears over time because it's artificial. It's not a natural product. So I'm just kind of wondering how that does. On this, it really didn't make a whole lot of difference. It's going to be a little ornament or something. But on a bigger piece, I'm wondering. So anybody know about that? And then I was going through my patterns and I came across this one by Erica Michaels. I don't know how long I've had this. Not a great long time, I don't think. But I love the little pillow and I love the sentiment on it, rejoice with joy unspeakable. And I plan to stitch that at some point. But I was really wanting to do another small ornament. And so I took just the joy, the word joy, and stitched this. Now it's on a 14 count Aida, and I swear y'all, I have a huge basket of fabric. Half of it is Aida cloth that I inherited from someone, but I hate stitching on it. This is so stiff. When it came time to turn this, it was next to impossible to do. And so when I turned it, I decided not to, normally when you stitch around, you just leave a small opening right here, somewhere on here, to turn it. And I couldn't get it through there. So this whole top, right across here, left that whole thing unstitched. And when you do that, then your corners, they end up really nice and straight, where these corners are rounded out a little bit. I decided I didn't really care because it's just going on the tree. And so I thought it was fine for that. That light's going in and out, y'all, because it's a partly cloudy day and the cloud keeps passing over the sun a little bit. Just a little gingham, sort of, no. Yeah, gingham on the back. This button was one of those buttons that has a shank, and I couldn't figure out how I was going to sew that on there so that it wouldn't wiggle. You know what I mean? Those shank buttons, they tend to wiggle, and I don't like that. So I cut just a tiny little hole right down where the middle of this button is and poked the shank through it and then took a stitch. And I added a little bit of glue as well to stabilize it. And then put the back on the pillow and turned it and stuffed it. So that's how I managed that. I think last time I showed you this Lizzie Kate pattern. And it says, if you live to be 100, I want to live to be 100 minus 1 day. So I never have to live a day without you. And I stitched this for my sister. She has, for years and years and years, prayed that she would die 1 minute before me, so she wouldn't have to grieve over me, and I wouldn't have to grieve but 1 minute. I wish she wouldn't do that, but when I saw that pattern, I thought this is perfect for her. So here it is. I stitched it on, let me see, a 28 count even weave, and it was a light parchment, and I didn't like it, so I tea-dyed the whole thing after it was stitched. I really didn't, the the pink and the blue were just so bright. They were almost a neon, and they stood out too much for me. So that tea dye toned that down, and I like it a lot. I'm debating on this one whether or not to make it into a pillow. I thought I would do a pillow, but I've been through my fabric closet and I haven't found the perfect fabric for it. So I may frame it, or I might try Vanna's tutorial for a flat fold, but more likely I'm going to frame that one. Then I decided I wanted to do something for Easter. I needed a rabbit. I've got a couple of smalls, and they're in my dough bowl or in my tool tray where I keep all my small pillows. But I had this kit called A Spring Garden by Cherished Stitches. And if you look right here in the middle, there's a rabbit. I've had this probably a year and a half. And I opened it up, and it was supposed to be a kit with fabric and thread and all that stuff. And the thread was all there, but there was no fabric. Now, I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm saying there was no fabric in there, and I could easily have lost it out of there when I opened it up to look at it one time, and maybe the fabric got put aside. I don't know what happened. I really don't. So I just hunted for something I thought it would go on. And I had this piece. Excuse me. This is a 32 count casual linen, ivory colored. Come on, light, come back. And so I'm just going to make that into a little small pillow to go in my dough bowl for my holiday stuff. I thought it was really cute. I used the called for threads that were in the kit. I didn't change anything. Really like that. And I might someday stitch this whole thing and just pull my own threads, but it's really a little bit too busy for me. I'm not sure I want to do the rest of that. I told you that I had redone one of the sheep's virtues from Little House. This one is friendship. And I took it apart and redid it. I put a wool on the back and did the mini pom-poms around the outside edge. I love the look of those, but I don't do really great corners with those things. But it's cute. It's a cute piece, and I like it better this way than I did the last way that I had it. I'm trying to, last night I decided I was going to start another small one. I know, I'm really hooked on the smalls right now. And I found Hands On Designs free one, I think from this year. The one that's Love, and I'll just cover up that part of the pattern. I love her gray fabric with this. Really, really love it. But I don't have the gray fabric, and actually I don't have those threads in my stash. And so that kind of took care of doing something quick. That wasn't going to happen. And I pulled out this piece of a 28 count linen, and I have no idea what color it is. I just found it in one of my bags, and all it says is 8 by 12 28 count dyed, which means it's a hand dyed fabric. And I decided I would do it on that. When I started looking for threads, I had this really pretty piece of buttercream from Victorian Motto Sampler Shop. If y'all haven't found her floss, it's just, she has beautiful, beautiful stuff. I have several things that I've bought from her, some really pretty reds. And her primitive colors are also really nice. I like them a lot. Nancy does a great job, and she's sweet and she's generous. She gives away stuff all the time. I thought that was real pretty, but I didn't have, the other two colors were a blue and a coral, and I didn't have those in a hand-dyed floss, and so I pulled some DMC, and I pulled 352 and 803, Let me see if I can hold those up there. Here we go. But I'm second guessing myself. I don't know. I don't know. Those are pretty bright. They're pretty up against that brown, don't you think? But I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. Should I just order those threads that she used, Hands On Design used? Because they're really nice. And I also am looking at this Prairie Schooler rabbit right here. Can't make up my mind on him, but I'm thinking about that. Love this little book, and I love several of these patterns: the turkey, the Santa, the church house, the heart, the patriotic heart. So many of these that I want to stitch in so little time. I don't know, but that may be next on my list. That rabbit might be. And that, oh, darn, I forgot one. Hold on a second. I gotta go get this other thing because I really, really, really want to show you this. Okay, I'll be right back. You can look at the scenery. Well, I didn't look to see how I had that pointed. Did I have any scenery there for you to see? I did another, I don't have this pattern right here, but I did another one since this last time, a Little House Needleworks pattern. And I don't know the exact name of it, but this is what it looks like. And it says, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. It's Proverbs 11:30. I love the way it turned out. I changed some of the colors in here. Can't tell you what I changed, but I know I changed one of there were two greens, and I changed one of those, and I changed, I don't, the words were in a different color, and I didn't care for that. So I changed all that, and I mounted it on this box. It's a black wood box. Lid comes off like that. And I just did a flat finish on the top. I've got to go back and redo one corner that's not laying down flat. What I did was cut a piece of mat board and covered it with batting, and I used spray adhesive to hold that down, and then I put the fabric on and wrapped it to the back. And actually right now it's temporary because it's taped. I need to go, I'm going to lace it like you would for a picture frame. I'm going to lace that on the back. And just I did a drop or two of glue to see what it would look like on this box before I wanted to do that before I did a complete finish on it in case I didn't like it. But I think I do. I'm going to sit it on a shelf with the lid kind of off a little bit like that. And then I'm going to put something in the box. I don't know, some kind of greenery, or, no. Y'all got any suggestions? Maybe a couple of apples, because it's got apples on the little tree. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I haven't bought much since my last video. Yay me. It's not that I'm really trying, but I did order from 123 Stitch and got in this beautiful gingham, Weeks Dye Works tin roof gingham. And I bought a big piece, 26 by 35, because I'm going to use this. Little House, is releasing soon. It's going to be releasing the patriotic group. I think maybe there's 9 of them, and they're um, people, I think. I can't remember, but it's a patriotic series, and I want to do it on that. It calls for tin roof, but I chose the gingham because I just love gingham, and I thought that would look really good on there. So, I think that's it. Um, except to say, couple of quick notes. Danielle Stitcherista, I swear I've watched so many of your videos now that I'm every time somebody asks me something, I say, "Oh, a whole lot of nope on that," and they look at me like I'm crazy. But hey, I'm channeling Danielle, I guess. And I'm missing Abby. I hope all is well with you. Um, and I want to say thank you to everyone who watches and who has subscribed. I'm up over 900 subscribers now, and so I'm watching the numbers. Y'all know what that means. When 1,000 pops up, we have to have a giveaway, and I'm thinking about that and what I want to do and what's possible for me to do. So I'll let you know when that comes up. Meanwhile, y'all have a great weekend. I'm going to um, actually go to Canton, Texas, to the big flea market down there with my husband and my children. A little family time, and so I've never been there. I'm pretty sure you can find everything from chickens to ceramics to windows made out of car license plates. A little trash, a little treasure, so it ought to be fun. I couldn't find a cross stitch shop in that immediate area though, so if anybody knows about one, y'all message me or something, okay? I'd love to hear about it because I'd love to stop and see another cross stitch shop. I need a lot of stuff, I'm sure I do. Okay, y'all, have a great weekend. Bye bye.